Hello everyone and welcome back to Chess with MNM. Today we will see the game 1 of the round 2 of the finals of Lindore Abbey Rabid challenge on Chess 24 between Hikaru Nakamura and Daniil Dubov. We will see an exciting game, we will see so beautiful game. This is the game 1 of the round 2, so let's see what happened in this exciting game. Nakamura with the white pieces and Daniil Dubov with the black pieces. Nakamura opened this game by e4, king's pawn opening, c5 by Dubov, the Sicilian defense, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now c3. And I think they call it on this opening, the c3 opening, or the c3 variation, the old Sicilian, or something like that. However, c3 now by Nakamura, knight to f6 attacking the pawn on the e4, e5 attacking the knight, knight to d5, and now bishop to c4 attacking the knight again. Knight back to b6 attacking the bishop on the c4, bishop back to b3 moving away from the threat, and now c4 attacking the bishop again. Bishop back to c2, d5 now by Dubov, and now e capture on d6. Queen capture on d6 activating the queen, castles by Nakamura, and now bishop to g4 pinning this the f3 knight. And now queen to e2 by Dubov. Queen to e2, the idea is developing the queen on the king's file, but here Dubov simply castled into the queen side. Queen side castles by Dubov, and now knight to a3. Knight to a3 attacking the pawn on the c4 twice. So here Dubov played queen to e6. Queen to e6 offering to exchange the queens, and Nakamura accept that. Queen capture on e6, bishop capture on e6, and now b3. b3 putting more pressure on the c4 pawn, because here I want to capture on the c4, pawn capture on c4, because I want to push d5 to open, because I want to develop my bishop on the c1, my c1 bishop. Okay? So here after b3, Nakamura played bishop to d5. Bishop to d5, I want to activate my bishop on the a8 h1 diagonal. And now b capture on c4. The idea is I want to push d4 to open the way, to clear the diagonal for my bishop to develop it. Okay? B capture on c4, knight capture on c4, knight capture on c4, bishop capture on c4 attacking the f1 rook, and now rook to e1 developing the rook on the semi-open file, also moving away from the thread. Here after rook to e1, Dubov played bishop to d3. Now the idea by bishop to d3 is not allow this pawn to move, because if this pawn is still on the d2, then it will be a weak pawn. Also, it will not allow this bishop to develop himself into this diagonals. The h2 b8 diagonals, our this diagonals like h4 d8 diagonal. So for this reason here, after bishop to d3, bishop capture on d3 played by Nakamura, and after rook capture on d3, Nakamura here simply played rook to e3. Rook to e3, please move your rook away because I want to push d5 in the future. Dubov here said, of course, welcome, rook back to d7, and now bishop to a3. Bishop to a3, he said, now pushing d4, and then I will move this rook away, and then I will develop the bishop on one of these diagonals. It will take a time, okay? And I don't have this time. So let's just play bishop to a3, and if you push something like e6 or e5, then let's exchange this bishop with the f8 bishop. And okay, bishop to a3, and now e5 by Dubov. e5, and it seems like a free pawn, but it's not actually, because here after bishop capture, rook capture on the f8, and this is what happened in the game. Nakamura here played h4, but the idea here, if you capture by the knight, then I have knight capture, and after rook capture, then simply you will lose your d2 pawn. So for this reason here, the e5 pawn is not a free pawn. Here Nakamura pushed h4. h4, I want to grab more space on the king side. Okay. Dubov said welcome, of course. f6, let's support our e5 pawn. And now h5 by Nakamura, I want to grab more space on the king side. Also, when I maneuver on this g7 pawn, example knight to h4, knight to f5, to threatening the pawn, now you will not be able to push him g6 or g5, because simply I can capture it. Okay, now you can capture by the edge, but example, if I attack the pawn by the rook, then it will be hard to you to push that pawn. Okay, so this is the idea by h5. Okay, so here after h5 by Nakamura, Dubov played rook f to d8. Rook f to d8. I want to put more pressure on the pawn, on the d2 pawn. But because there is knight on the f3 guarding that pawn, so you cannot do anything. You need this knight on the c3 or on the b3 or on the e4 to attack him, and then you will actually be able to grab that pawn. Okay? So rook f to d8, putting a pressure on the d2 pawn, and now king to f1. I want this king to be near on my d2 pawn. Example, if the knight comes to the c4 in the future, then I can protect the pawn by my king or something like that. Here, after king to f1, b6 now by Dubov. I want to develop my king into the b7 and then in the c6 in the future. And now g3, I want to make this room for my king too. King to b7, king to g2, and now knight to e7 by Dubov. Knight to e7, I want to remaneuver our, I want to develop my knight into another squares because the knight on the c6 is so unuseful knight. I mean, I want to develop it into the f5, attacking the rook, or something like after knight to f5, then knight to d6, knight to c4 comes, or something like that. So here after knight to e7, Nakamura played rook to e4, okay? Rook to e4, activating the rook on the fourth rank. Also, maybe, as we said, rook to g4 will be possible and will be a good idea in the future because you cannot push the pawn for my h5 pawn, okay? So here after rook to e4, Dubov played rook to d3. Rook to d3, not although this pawn, stopping this pawn and keep putting a pressure on it. And after rook to d3, here Nakamura played a4. Okay, a4, let's grab more space on the queen side, and also let's push a5 to open the file for our rook to activate it. Here, after a4, Dubov played knight to c6 again. Knight to c6, here the idea is I want this knight to keep an eye on the a5 square, and not although the white to push a5 to open the file for the rook. Also, I will play knight to a5 and then knight to c4. This knight on the c4 will attack on the d2, will make an attack on the d2. Also, will not allow this pawn to get pushed. Okay, something like a5. So if I could play knight to a5 and then knight to c4, so this knight will be so strong knight on the c4 square. Here, after knight to c6, Nakamura played rook to e2. And rook to e2 wasn't a good idea by Nakamura because rook to e2, it's a passive or defensive move by Nakamura. Here Nakamura had to play something like rook to g4, rook to g4 attacking the g7 pawn. And after something like rook to d7 guarding the pawn, then Nakamura here has to play something like rook to b1, rook to b1 activating the other rook. And if something like, let's say something like knight to a5, then knight rook to b5 activating the rook. Again, also, not all of this knight to jump to the c4 or to the b3 because now the knight cannot come to the c4 square because there is a rook protecting that square. Also, this rook protecting the b3 square. So Nakamura's mission, or what was Nakamura had to do, is that not allow this knight to come into the c3 or to the b3 and not allow him to attack his d2 pawn. But Nakamura didn't play that idea. And here Nakamura played rook to e2. He wanted to defend the d2 square or supporting it. Here after rook to e2, simply Dubov played knight to a5, knight to c4 comes on the road. So you have to be careful, my dear Nakamura. g4 here by Nakamura, sorry, not g4, rook to a2 now by Nakamura, adding more defender for the d2 pawn, and now knight to c4 by Nakamura, knight to c4 with a trouble pressure on the d2 square. Also, you cannot push a5 to open this and to activate your rook because my knight protecting and controlling the a5 square. And here I want you to take a look on this position. What the white will play here. I mean, look to this position. Now you cannot move your pieces because all your pieces has to keep an eye on the d2 square, okay? Also, you cannot move your queenside pawns because a5 not possible. The knight controls that square. Also, you cannot push these two pawns. Also, h5, h6, sorry, doesn't work. I can simply grab the pawn. And you cannot move this pawn also. If you move this king, it will be I mean, you cannot do anything here. I mean, it's too hard position for Nakamura. Here Nakamura played g4. He said, okay, let's play something like g4. Let's do something on the king side. But simply here after g4, Dubov played rook 8 to d5. Rook 8 to d5. Now you don't want to give me the d2 pawn. Okay, I will play rook 8 to d5, and then I will play rook to a5 and to attacking your a4 pawn. And how will prevent this? I mean, it's too hard for Nakamura to prevent this. Nakamura here after rook 8 to d5. Nakamura here played knight to h4. Knight to h4. I want to play something like knight to f5, make some counter attack on the g7 square or something like that. But the problem that Nakamura now is so late. I mean, here after knight to h4, Dubov simply wins the pawn on the d2. Rook capture on d2 by Nakamura, by Dubov, sorry, and now knight to f5 trying to attack, to make some counter attack on the g7 square. Rook capture on a2, rook capture on a2, and now simply g6 by Dubov, attacking the king, also saying to Nakamura, please don't bother me. H capture on g6, H capture on g6, and now knight to e7, knight to e7, trying to make fork between the rook and the pawn, but here Dubov simply played rook to d7. The idea here, if you touch my pawn, then I will play simply rook to g7, attacking your knight. When you move your knight, then I will grab your g4 pawn. So for this season here, after rook to d7, Nakamura played knight back to g8, attacking the f6 pawn. f5 simply, please don't touch my pawns. G capture on f5, G capture on f5, and now knight h6 again, attacking the pawn on the f5. Rook to g7 check by Nakamura, by Dubov, sorry. King to f3, and now simply rook to g5 guarding the f5 pawn. Knight to f7, trying to attacking and threatening the rook on the g5, and now simply rook to h5, still keep an eye on the f5 square. King to g3, and now after king to g3 here, Nakamura Dubov simply played rook to h7, attacking the knight. Knight back to g5, knight back to g5, and now rook to d7. I want to play something like rook to d3 with check, and then I will grab your c3 pawn. King to h4 by Nakamura. I want to play something like king to h5, and then king to g6 to attack your pawns, but unfortunately you are too late, Nakamura. Rook to d3, king to h5 by Nakamura, rook capture on c3, and here Nakamura played king to h6. I mean, I think king to h6, it was mouse slip or something like that. But however, Nakamura here, whatever if you play, Nakamura's position is such a losing position, okay?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
King to h6 by Nakamura, and now simply king to c6. I want to develop my king too. King to g6, attacking the pawn on the f5, simply f4 by Dubov, and now knight to e4, attacking the rook. Rook to a3, let's exchange the rooks. Give me the a4 pawn. Here rook to c2, and now rook capture on a4, guarding the knight on the c4. King to f5, so king to f5, and now b5, protecting the pawn, also preparing to pushing b4, b3, b2, b1, and queen. And there's no way, I mean, the white has nothing to do. Here Nakamura played rook to c1, rook to c1 by Nakamura, and now rook to a3, developing the rook on the third rank. Rook to d1, and now simply b4, rook to d8, and now simply knight back to b6. Please don't bother me by something like rook to c8 check or something like that. King capture on e5, and now simply b3, rook to d6 check, king to b5, and now rook to d1, trying to stopping the pawn, but here simply Nakamura played Dubov played king to b4, king to d4 now by Nakamura, and now simply rook to a5, knight to c3, and it was in this moment that Hikaru Nakamura resigned the game. Now why Nakamura resigned the game? Because I mean there is nothing to do here. You are down 2 pawns. Now the now the plan is so simple. I will just move this rook away, and I will push the a pawn, and there is no way to prevent and to stopping this two connected pawns on the A, also on the B files. So for this season here, after knight to c3 in this position, Hikaru Nakamura resigned the game, and by this Daniil Dubov is up 1 pawn. So let's see what will happen in the next games. So yeah, this is the game, this is the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. Also, you can support us on Patreon. The link is below the video, and you can watch my previous videos, and see you in the next videos.